Hey, Twisted people, it's your Twisted woman here, Chauncey K. Robinson, aka Twisted CKR. And thank you so much for joining me as I am going to be talking about DC. I don't even, can we call it DC Universe still? DC Comics Titans, which can be seen currently on HBO Max, a streaming service. But also, I believe you can catch episodes of it on Netflix, depending on what country you are in. And I'm going to be talking about Titans episodes 1 through 4. Okay, so the way I kind of want to do this is first and foremost, thank all of you who are joining us in the chat, the live chat. Bannon, thanks so much for joining me here and others, and also for those of you who are joining me in the replay. So the way I kind of want to do this is I want to talk about a little bit of an overview of like episodes 1 through 3. We're not going to do a super deep dive. I kind of want to talk about the highlights and what I thought about some of the major things that happened in episodes 1 through 3. And also then I want to do a little bit more of a specific thing when it comes to episode 4, which was the latest one at the time of this live stream. Bannon saying the first 2 seasons are also on TNT right now. So for those of you who have TNT, you can catch that if you haven't already, if you're not caught up with Titans. Although I would say you could probably skip season 2. My honest opinion. So first and foremost, let me just talk a little bit about my thoughts on Titans overall, because you kind of have to, I kind of have to put that in perspective to say how I'm going into this. First and foremost, as you can see, I'm a Batman fan. He is my boy. I got feelings about the way they treat Batman when it comes to Titans, and the way they treat Titans too on Titans. So I loved the first season of Titans. It was a little lopsided, but I love that it very much seemed centered on the Titans kind of universe, the Titans villains that we know, Hive and and others and stuff like that. I appreciated that, the whole thing with Raven, the whole thing with even with Grayson and things like that. And then we got we had our core 4, right? We had Beast Boy, Starfire, Nightwing, at the time being Robin, and then we had Raven, and Rachel at the time. And I love that. I love that we had our core 4 and we were kind of going with that. And then I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was because I think they switched maybe showrunners for season 2, or maybe some of the writers for season 2. But it seemed like season 2 was some weird sort of soft reboot. It was a weird soft reboot. I don't know why whoever joined the staff and made the decisions, they seem to have been more fans of the original, of the first Titans team, than the core 4 that we had established in season 1. So what we ended up getting was some weird soft reboot that had a whole bunch of flashbacks of not the team that we all got to know in season 1 and love, right? So what we got was Dawn and Hank and, the birds. We got Donna, more of that, a bit more, and it just was not a very good season. For whatever reason, Grayson had gone through his metamorphosis. He had kind of come to terms with Batman and stuff like that, making his choice in season 1, because that's what we got in that whole dream sequence thing. And for whatever reason, they just rebooted it again in season 2. And he was still going through his stuff and had to go through his stuff with Deathstroke and blah, blah, blah. And then we got all of that. And it was just like, but we went through this growth. There's supposed to be a team now. We should be dealing with them as a team. And my main issue with the Titans show thus far is because I do feel like they, as much as I say this as a Batman fan, they lean too much on the Batfam. They lean too much on the Batman lore and everything that goes with Batman, as though Titans is not and was not and still is as if it's not a super popular show and concept on its own. The new Titans, which have, Corey minus Cyborg. We didn't get Cyborg because Cyborg is in the also awesome show of Doom Patrol, which we'll talk about that. Doom Patrol does really great when it comes to an ensemble cast. And I even said this in season 2. I really had hoped that the writers of Titans took notes from how Doom Patrol has a way of having multiple storylines going on that still makes it so you feel like everyone is connected to each other. Because the issue with Titans, my two main issues, is that they have a tendency to lean very much on a Batman type lore and not enough on Titans, which has its own storylines and was popular in and of itself. I mean, Teen Titans Go and everything will show you that people care about the Titans by themselves. You don't have to always have Gotham as the center thing. You don't. Have some confidence in your show and the topic you chose, right? Which was Titans. And the other one is that I feel like at times the show feels disjointed with the storylines. I feel like some characters get so much screen time. And that's Nightwing. I'll say that. And I don't have a problem with Nightwing getting some attention. Of course, he's Nightwing. And I liked it as an intro, but I feel like we're still doing that. And it's kind of weird because he does not need to be the one that's always in focus, yet that's what we continue to do. So I just wanted to kind of say some of that because this show has a tendency to do those things, and I fear that we are still dealing with that right now. And that's kind of where I'm going into with episodes 1 through 4. I got to be real with y'all. I have hope, but I am also still seeing some stuff that just is like, why are we doing, where are we going with this? Oh my gosh, is it going to be season 2 all over again? Cause I can't. I almost swore off this show at the end of season 2. I was almost done because I was like, whoa, this is bad. Things have gotten bad. This show is not good at this point. It wasn't the season 1 that I liked. Season 1 wasn't perfect, but it was better than season 2 in my opinion. But let me know, y'all, for those of you in the chat and the replay, what you think about what I just said, because I wanted to set the stage of where I'm coming from as a Batman fan, but also someone who's like, I was interested in Titans. That's why I watched this show, not Batman Light, right? But let's see what some of y'all are saying in the chat. Hey Kendra, thanks for joining us in the chat. Yes, too much Batman. Yes. Bannon is saying, to be fair, Dawn and Hank were in season 1 a lot as well. So they were, but I actually am going to talk about Dawn and Hank in this as well, because I got some feelings. I actually like Hank. I did. So I got some feelings about how they chose to go about that. Bandit's also saying not enough Titans as a team. Exactly. Yes, they go off and do things that don't push the story and characters along, as Kendra is saying. Solomon is saying, thanks for joining us in chat, Solomon. The writers of Titans seem to be allergic to the idea of a functioning team. I love Dick Nightwing, but I signed up for Titans. Exactly. Bandit saying, I like the Stark Corey and Blackfire story better right now than Dick Gotham Red Hood. We'll talk about that because I am in agreement with you. Bannon saying saving grace of season 2 was introduction of Connor. Love his and Corey's scenes together. Agreed. I am glad that we got Superboy. I am. There were some highlights of season 2, particularly the episodes that focused on Connor and Crypto. Oh my gosh, Crypto is like my second fave character in this show. I want more Crypto, y'all. My dog, literally the dog. So y'all, so what we have here, I have a picture of what I was super excited to see, right? If y'all are watching it, of the team, not all of the team, because oh my gosh, where is Rachel? That's my other girl. I need her here. But okay, we got a team. We got them doing stuff. They are established in San Francisco. They are where they're supposed to be. They got the Titans Tower. They are fighting. Things are going great. Oh my gosh, we might actually get a season this season of them as a team. The core, some of the core that we watched and stuff, and seeing them actually do the darn thing. Dick, Grayson, seems to have moved on from his man pain, the pain he was going through, and they seem to be doing well. Corey is giving interviews, got a little flirtation going on with Dick and Corey, which I ship Dick and Corey, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. And then Red Hood happens. And let's talk about, I got notes, y'all. Let's talk about Red Hood, right? Let's talk about Red Hood, the iconic storyline. And I say this as a Batman fan, the Red Hood storyline is iconic. I loved Under the Red Hood. I don't know if those of you who might catch Batman stuff. Under the Red Hood was an animated movie, because DC does animated movies so well. They actually really do. And Under the Red Hood, Jensen Ackles was playing Red Hood's voice, and he was amazing as that voice, Jensen Ackles from Supernatural, and it was under the Red Hood, and I love that. I love that movie. I thought Red Hood was done really well, and the whole thing of Red Hood is that it's a tragic storyline, but it has a lot of twists and turns, but it's very much a Batman story, but I got it. They introduced him. There's been talk about a Red Hood spinoff. I don't know how they're going to do that, considering how much of a cold-blooded killer this guy seems to have been. Jason, what they turned him into and things like that. So I want to ask y'all first and foremost, because I'm going down the list here. What do you think of the Red Hood storyline thus far? Because that seems to be our major plot for this first half of the season, at least. And do you think this was rushed? I want to know y'all thoughts in the replay and in the chat. Do you think this story is rushed? Now, the story from the comic books of Jason Todd is that, he gets killed by Joker, the infamous crowbar. He gets killed by Joker. He's brought back to life, but he's changed, he's bitter. He feels like Batman didn't, one of the reasons why he came back because he felt like Batman didn't avenge him, right? That didn't happen in this show, right? Batman definitely avenges him. He kills Joker, which kind of took away the whole purpose of Red Hood becoming Red Hood. But then again, the show changed Red Hood's motivation. So instead of Red Hood having issues with Batman, Bruce, like they had in the comics, they had him have of how he functions, they seem to have replaced that with Nightwing, which is continuing this thing of making Nightwing kind of take on Batman's plot lines. I don't know why we need to do that, but that's what we're doing. We're getting the Red Hood versus Nightwing as opposed to the Red Hood versus Batman, which is what that should have been, right? And so it felt rushed. I think Jason Todd is a character who I know some people love him. I liked him enough. I thought he was a bit annoying in season 2, but I know that was why they did the writing like that on purpose, because they wanted to get to this point. And that was their first offense, right? Because they rushed and they really overdid it with his character being the way he was, kind of unlikable at times, a hothead and things like that, to the point where it's like, okay, yeah, let's rush to him getting killed on the job. But then the way they killed him on the job was all of 2 minutes. He takes the gas, he goes to the thing, he gets kind of freaked out randomly, and he gets hit with the thing. So he gets like he doesn't even put up a fight, because in the comic book, Jason Todd kind of taunts Joker, he kind of taunts him. He kind of goes out, kind of giving him his best, even though he's being beaten to death, he kind of holds his pride with him. And in this one, that didn't happen, they just kind of went right to it. And I'm okay. I didn't need to see Joker and all that. I came for Titans, as y'all have said. I came for Titans. It's okay if I don't see Joker's face. It's okay if I don't see Batman suited up, right? So it was very rushed. And then suddenly he's alive. And we don't know how, because supposedly Bruce saw his dead body and buried him. But did he? I think when it comes to the Red Hood thing, I don't necessarily think I don't think he actually died. I think what happened was he faked his death, which kind of sucks, because in the original or in the comics, he actually did die. And that's why he kind of came back different. And you got the whole Raoul thing and all that other stuff, backstory. And it's like, okay, but seemingly he took that away. So what they seem to be doing is that Red Hood, Jason, is already, even before he died, he was already doing some shady stuff, right? He was already he had a lab. He was making his own drugs, right? He was making his own drugs. He had a lab. He's already doing some stuff, right? Which is like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? So I was like, that's weird that they took that route. And I get it. The mystery is going to be unraveled. In a way, it's probably better if since they seem so adamant about doing the Red Hood thing, they had to make it connected to Nightwing in this regard. So they kind of had to take Bruce out of it. But it almost feels a little convoluted that they had to go through all this trouble to really make it about Nightwing and Red Hood, because the Red Hood storyline is very much connected to Batman, right? But we've been getting a Batman-like kind of show for some time. And I'm just trying to see what some of y'all are saying in the chat, because I want to hear what y'all are saying as well. Bannon is saying, oh, and can we talk about how Jason was at best a bad checkers player, and now he's a chess master? Makes no sense. Exactly. There's a lot of things that aren't, that just aren't lining up, because I feel like they were very much about trying to get this storyline. And it's like, it's a little bit of fan service for Batman fans. Okay, but where's the fan service for the Titans fans? There's some things they could be doing that would be fan service for us, the people who actually, I say this as a Batman fan, but when I watch Titans, I'm a Titans fan at that moment, and we don't get enough fan service. But we get a lot of fan service for Batman stuff. We got Scarecrow up in there now, Crane and things. And I'll talk about the new additions and what I think about that. Hey, Ray, thanks for joining us, as always. Yes, I'm living this. Hey, Twisted. Hey, Ray. Solomon saying, I think that we needed more time with Jason and his PTSD from Deathstroke before evolving to Red Hood. I agree. I would go out and say Red Hood should have came about in maybe season 5, not season 3 or anything like that. Red Hood should have came about maybe end of season 4 to going into season 5. It would have had more weight. We have it so Jason Todd dies, and supposedly they think he dies, and there wasn't enough emotional weight. He had already left the Titans. It wasn't like he was around and they were friends or he worked through his stuff or something. None of that happened. He just went off on his own thing and was still being a hothead. And then they, seemingly the Titans hadn't been working with him for a bit. So it was like, yeah, he died. That sucks. Oh my gosh. They had Corey say, I'm mad at him for not evolving, which was very true to power that she spoke, and things like that. But it didn't have the weight. Hank's death had more weight than Jason Todd's death. And I'm going to talk about Hank's death in a little bit, but it didn't have the weight. So when he comes back, all of the next episode, because that was another thing, Jason Todd was supposed to be dead for a bit to make you feel the weight. But because they were rushing this plot line, it's all of a day. It's like 48 hours and Red Hood's around. Okay. So he faked his death. There's just no other way to explain that. Why even make it so he needs to be resurrected? He clearly faked his death, which kind of, I think it dampens the Red Hood plot line and the weight of it, to be honest. But yeah, Kendra is saying, I don't think he has a close enough relationship with Dick to become Red Hood because of him. Exactly, but that seems to be kind of where this is going. I don't think they're making it exactly about him and Grayson. I think there's a little bit of the sibling rivalry there, which we'll talk about the parallels of that sibling rivalry with the parallels of Starfire and Blackfire sibling rivalry. But they are definitely making it so that they both have daddy issues. Grayson got over his daddy issues for the most part, but they're rehashing it again. I don't know why. And now we're dealing with Jason's daddy issues, but no one asked for that. I'm done with the daddy issue plot lines for the guys on this show. Let's do some other characters, let's do some other characters. Bannon, I do believe Corey is one of the wisest characters, although she's making some questionable decisions. We'll talk about that a little bit. Ray is saying fan service for me is Blackfire. Yes, that's the Titans fan service, bringing in Blackfire, which is probably their strongest plot line. And I hope they realize that. Solomon is saying, all of us who love Starfire and Beast Boy have been starving for 2 seasons now. We really have. And that's ridiculous because they're the core 4. So yes, man. And Hank's death actually made sense and meant something to the show. And I totally agree on that score. What we got was this Red Hood Rush storyline. So now this connects with the Batman Bruce thing. And I'm going to do a little mini rant because y'all have probably seen it enough with other people talking the same thing that I'm talking with this. But I don't know why this show seemingly just hates Batman, but somehow uses his lore for the majority of their stuff when it comes to Nightwing. And that's weird to me. Y'all, I'm not understanding why we've been dealing with this for 2 seasons now because of, Grayson's thing or whatever like that. That's fine. Sure. But this thing with Batman, there have been different versions of Batman. There's there's the more broody type one of Batman. There's the one who's more like, you know, I have more control. There's the one that's kind of on the brink. He has had his metamorphoses over the years. It's 84 years of Batman. We've had over 80 years of this wonderful character, with all of his layers and stuff. And I don't know, I feel like it's a mixed bag, because I feel like part of me is like, they use, for a show that doesn't seem to really like Batman, and Bruce, they seem to really lean heavy on the gimmick of Gotham for the show, when it doesn't have to, but it chooses to, right? I don't mind the actor that's playing Bruce, actually. He's an older Batman. I don't mind that. I know some people have issues with the casting. I do not. I think the casting's fine. I just don't think he's being given enough to work with. This actor is actually pretty good. I remember him on Game of Thrones. He's a good actor. He's not getting much to work with because they've decided to paint Bruce like a psychopath. And I don't know where this is coming from. I'm like, would someone do a show with Superboy and stuff where they try to make, you know, Superman a fascist, you know, like, you know, because he has a way of like deciding to come to another planet and right the wrongs of Earth and everything. I feel like that's like, you see how that sounds extreme, you know, although there's been plays with that of Superman becoming a fascist and like injustice and all that. But that's the extreme version of Superman, of what he could become, right? Superman could become a fascist. He could become a dictator because of his power, and he chooses to turn it on humans. And that's the extreme version of him, the evil version of him, about like an AU version, right? Whatever reason, I feel like they've gone to the extreme version of what Batman can be when he's depraved. And I don't know why they're doing that. I feel like there's this kind of coloring that, like, as though Nightwing was straight up abused as Robin, and that so was Jason Todd, and they're both dealing with their daddy issues in some weird way. And I'm like, don't pin all of this on Batman. He literally took these orphans, you know, and he gave them a life of like fighting crime. I mean, I don't think it's okay. It's not rainbow and sunshine, but he's not a psychopath. And it seems to be, he's kind of the scapegoat background character for the choices of these characters who are making bad decisions. Oh, well, that's what Bruce did to you guys. You know, they got Barbara saying it, you know, they're coloring the relationship of Gordon and Batman. Like Batman just chose him as like some sacrifice. Alfred's dead. I'm just like, what? Leave it alone. Leave Batman. You know what I mean? Like, leave my boy alone. Like, we got past this, and you got past it in season 2 okay enough, where you didn't do a character assassination of Batman. And I feel like there's a character assassination of Batman going on. Like, what? Like, what is going on? Like, why are we going so hard on this about Batman being some psychopath who does bad things to kids? Like, what? He literally became an orphan when he was young. That's his whole thing. He champions orphans, and it's a twisted championing of orphans. Yes, because Bruce weaponized his pain, right? He weaponized the loss of his parents to become Batman. And it's not rainbow and sunshines, but it's not psychopath type action either. And his way of helping these kids who need him, who he feels might need something in their life, is making it so they do the same thing. Don't let the world beat you down because your parents died, or you got, you know, in and out of jail and stuff. Use that to do something good, you know? And somehow it's gotten twisted that he abuses kids. He emotionally abuses kids. And I'm like, what? And and they had him losing his cool. I'm like, where is Catwoman? Where is his woman at? Where's his friends? Batman has friends. He does. It's not just the Robins. Where's Catwoman? Where's Selena? Maybe she could talk some sense into him, because I don't know what they're doing. It's just, I'm not going to talk too hard on that, but y'all, I don't appreciate what they're doing. And I think, I just think it's not good. Thanks, Deb, for joining us in the chat. Deb is saying Jason and Dick's issue is all about who's daddy's favorite or better Robin, right? And I'm like, that's awesome. We've done this already. I don't need a whole season of this. Ray is saying Beast Boy can really fight, and that is a highlight of this series for the character outside of his shape shifting. It really is. I agree, and we'll talk about them in a bit. Ray saying this guy can't see him battling in the Batsuit or even keeping up with Superman or Wonder Woman. I think I can, because if they're older at this point, we've seen an older Batman in Batman Beyond, so it's possible. Although he was way older in Batman Beyond. Red Eyes saying Dick wasn't abused. Hey, Red Eyes, thanks for joining us. Red Eyes, another DC fan. He also has a channel. He talks about these things for y'all who want to check it out. I didn't say that, I didn't say it, Red Eyes, but I feel like the show is kind of making it so that there's a little bit of that going on there. And that's what I don't appreciate. I'm like, what are they doing? Yeah, Ray is saying he's supposed to fight Bane and Grundy and Killer Croc and Mr. Freeze. I'm calling Ryan and her weave out over the top that ARRP bat low. He would be good for Batman Beyond for Bruce. I don't know. I think he could still fight because he's human. He grows older. Ray is saying, Chauncey, he did create child soldiers. We have a name for charismatic leaders who do that. Let's keep it real. He is just a crazy. No, I'm sorry, Ray. I can't get with that. I mean, maybe if we looked at Bruce and Batman in a Senate kind of nihilistic kind of a way, I could say, okay, yeah, child soldiers. But come on, like, that's not what he's doing. Yes, he's creating people who know how to fight. That's not necessarily child soldiers. Yeah, he's saying, hey, fight this thing. He's not putting a gun to their head like, now you have to fight for Gotham. He's like, hey, this is what you can do to channel that anger so you don't let it eat you alive. Fight the bad guys who made life like this as opposed to fighting yourself all the time. And I feel like the show has tried to warp that to try to push a narrative. And I don't think it works. I think it just comes off as a scapegoat for a plot line that we don't really need to be having on this show. Red Eye saying, first off, this dude is too old to be out there fighting crime anyway, so it's time to hang it up. I mean, yeah, maybe it is time for him to hang it up as Batman, but in terms of, what they've been doing with him thus far, he could be a great Bruce, but they've made him a Bruce that's just is like kind of a psycho. And it's like, why are you doing that? Red Eye saying, but Jason's body wasn't even in the ground, and Bruce had 2-page list of new Robins. He did, and that's another thing that was fan service. We saw some other Robins for people who pay attention to the Batman show, the Batman lore. But once again, more Batman service. Deb is saying, Batman took in these orphan kids and gave them confidence and something to live and fight for. Exactly. Thank you, Deb. That's exactly what I'm saying. And for whatever reason, they've decided to go edgelord, edge for being and when I say edgelord, I mean edgy for the sake of being edgy when it comes to who Bruce was. I just think I'm waiting for someone to be on Bruce's side and say, hey, oh, sorry, guys, I hit the camera, but to say, hey, it wasn't as bad as they're making it seem. We know you got some bitter Bettys up in here, but I mean, come on. Some of y'all would have had a way worse kind of existence without him. So, yeah, why not, right? Red Eyes is saying, when Bruce asked Dick if he wanted to be Robin again, I died laughing and thought Bruce was drunk or high. Exactly. He was like, you want to be Robin again? I'm like, what are they doing? He wouldn't need to do that. I need a Robin. I need someone. I'm like, oh my gosh, they made this dude addicted to taking kids. What is going on here, y'all? Ray is saying this series is concurrent with Superman and Lois of Arrowverse. We saw it in Crisis, so he is way older than them. Yeah. So there's just I do not like but let me know, y'all, in the chat and the replay. Do you agree with me? Do you think this is a little bit of character assassination when it comes to the way they're portraying Bruce and his intentions when it comes to them? So I'm not feeling that. So far we got Red Hood feels rushed. And I think they're doing a little bit of character assassination to move the plot along when it comes to Bruce. Because him and Grayson actually buried the hatch in season 2. That was the whole point of season 2, for them to bury the hatch. He even went over to Gotham. They hung out for a bit. He gave him good advice. They moved on. It was good. And now we're back to, he did this stuff to you guys. I'm like, oh my gosh, writers, move on. We are ready to move on. You should move on too, writers. Yeah. So and then, you know, I already talked about it, the Batfam domination. This is a Titan show, and it needs to, and Titans have their own villains, y'all. Yet, like Blackfire, which we'll talk about, which is great. Titans have their own villains that are really interesting and great to dive into. And yet we are still in Gotham, still dealing with Gotham things. And I just don't understand. It's been 3 years of this show with that. It's too much. It's ridiculous at this point. Okay, so let's talk about the new characters. We got some new additions this season. We got Crane and we got Barbara Gordon. Let's talk about Barbara Gordon a little bit because, you know, we got, you know, she was Batgirl. Barbara Gordon, played by Savannah Welch. Let me know in the chat and replay, y'all. What do y'all think about it? One, I will say that I do appreciate that this is played by an actress who, she's a good actress. I think she's doing a good job so far as Barbara Gordon. And I think I love that we got a character, an actress who is actually, you know, of that community when it comes to, you know, disability. And so I love that they did that. They didn't just hire some actress and sit her in a wheelchair or whatever like that. So we're more on the Oracle side for those of you who watch Batman or know about, read Batman, which I think if you stuck with this show thus far, you probably had to have brushed up on Batman to know why, because they throw in so many Batman type. Okay, I'm going to stop ranting. But she's Barbara Gordon as Oracle. Not Oracle just yet, though, right? She's not really Oracle yet. We don't know if she's going to get to be Oracle. Oracle being when after Joker paralyzes her in The Killing Joke, that was that whole story in The Killing Joke, she becomes wheelchair bound, but she ends up still helping out Nightwing and others and stuff like that through the computer. She's kind of like Felicity from Arrow, or Felicity from Arrow. It's kind of like Oracle for those who are wondering. Yeah, so so in this case, she's Barbara Gordon. She was Batgirl. She got hurt, and now she's taken her father's space because they've also killed off Gordon. They killed off Alfred. They killed off Gordon. But I guess that made sense because they were both older than Bruce. And if Bruce is older at this point, they would need to be probably done too. It's kind of messed up how we found out that Gordon died from a heart attack after being frozen by Mr. Freeze. Just real dark stuff, y'all. And so I'm liking her. I think she's okay. I know they're trying to do a little bit of a connection with her and Nightwing. I'm going to be honest with you all, y'all. I have never liked the Nightwing and Barbara Gordon relationship. I thought it was contrived in the comic books. It is contrived in the comic books. They literally had to try to play down and or erase his very long relationship and courtship with Starfire in order to make that relationship happen. Barbara at one point was older than him. She actually hooked up with Batman, but they, you know, redid it and made her younger so they could put them together. And this all happened because at one point after Nightwing became super, I'm going to give y'all a little comic book history here. Nightwing became super popular through, you guessed it, Titans. It was Titans when Dick Grayson became popular, it was because of Titans, because Titans became one of the most popular teams of DC during the time of its run, New Titans, okay? Nightwing became popular because of Titans, because of Starfire, because of all of that. All of that was going on. They were a great team. They lasted for years, all right? When he became popular and then the Bat family office of DC got a hold of him, they moved him over there. And that's when they decided we don't want to keep doing the stuff with Titans because for whatever reason, these offices don't like talking to each other. And what we got was Nightwing being immersed in that. And so they wanted to give him also a love interest that was immersed in that because for whatever reason, whoever's in that was in that Batman office didn't care for Starfire, whatever. And they just really kind of reshaped a lot of stuff. And so that's where we got the Nightwing and Oracle kind of relationship, or the Nightwing and Barbara type thing, you know. And I feel like it's contrived. But I don't think she has to be here just for that. Although I do think I hear they're gonna kind of revisit it a little bit as a fling, or like trying to rejuvenate, or they had a little thing back in the day. They've already alluded to the fact that they had a thing back in the day. I think if they were to make it so, one, I appreciate that Barbara Gordon keeps telling Dick to go home. She keeps telling him, leave, go back to San Francisco. I appreciate that. He needs to take her advice. But I also think she kind of represents the past, which this show doesn't seem to like to move on from. And so I feel like if they did rekindle something, it would be very much a step back for Dick, if you ask me. But it's nice to see her, and I think she's a solid character. I just don't think she belongs in the Titans universe. But with this show being Batman Light, she of course belongs there because she's the commissioner, but she doesn't have to be there. And I don't think we needed that. Bannon is saying actress is great. Not sure how I feel about this Barbara Gordon, but I do hope they turn her into the Oracle. Yes. Red Eyes is pointing out, Bruce asked one question and Barbara cursed him out for no reason. I don't think it was no reason. I think she had a built up tension, right? She felt like her dad was pushed to the brink. She felt like Grayson was pushed to the brink. She watched Jason also go through the same thing. And if we're going with the narrative that Bruce has a tendency to use people and kind of warp them like he's warped, she was probably just being like, I'm helping him. Like she said, she's like, I'm helping him by making it so there's no more Robins, that there's no more children that he corrupts or whatever. Once again, the character assassination, but that's what we're going with. That's what he does in this universe. And so I kind of understood that, but at the same time, it's like, yeah. And Bannon is pointing out that Barbara is a better version of Felicity from Arrow. I agree with that. I agree with that. Persephone is saying, hey, sup everyone, it's Madam Scorpio. I changed my name. I haven't seen this show yet, but now I missed all the, oh, thank you, Madam Scorpio, from, yeah, you be up and we, did Charmed and stuff like that. But thank you so much for joining us. And you could check out Titans. I would say check out season 1 and then jump to season 3, but but thanks for joining us and saying hi in the live chat. Red Eyes is saying, I like the relationship in Young Justice. Yes, and that's where it should have been. In that universe of Young Justice, the cartoon, because you can watch that too if you watch it. That's fine, because there is no real Starfire is not prominent in that. But when Starfire and the Titans exist for Nightwing, that's where he should be. That's where his loyalty should be. Because that's his best version. Is Nightwing and Titans. It's the best version of Nightwing, if you ask me. Bannon is saying, yes, they should have stayed in San Francisco. I agree. I don't think we need to be in Gotham, yet here we are. Red Eyes is saying, I like the Titans in Gotham because the team need to know what happens when ish gets real. There was too much winning in San Francisco. Red Eyes, I'm going to have to disagree with you. What winning are you talking about? We were in San Francisco for all of an episode, in the beginning of the episode. We're talking about winning. We hardly been in San Francisco. Give me 2 seasons, okay, of winning in San Francisco. Then we can talk about going to Gotham and ish getting real, okay? Let's just be real. Gotham is an extreme version of New York. It's just it's crime ridden. That's just what it is, Ish getting real is just because it's a horrible city. And I say that as a Batman fan, but it's a horrible city. Bannon is saying the thing about this show that kind of tires me out is that each season is almost like a different show because they keep resetting the characters back to the start. And this show's Dick and Corey relationship is the best. I also agree with that. But let's say what you talked about, Bannon. I agree with you, and that's what I was talking about for and with season 1 to season 2. There was a soft reboot in season 2, and we had to go through the whole thing again of Nightwing finding himself and stuff with Deathstroke and all this other stuff. And I'm like, are we doing this again? Well, by the looks of episode 4, it looks like we are. We'll get to episode 4, but So I like Barbara. Barbara's cool. We also got Crane. We got Scarecrow. I think he's good so far. They got him kind of being a weed head to kind of calm himself down. And we also find out that he helped make Red Hood. I can't say that I do appreciate that they are starting early in the reveals and we're not waiting a whole season to find out that Crane was involved or who Red Hood really is. I can't say I really do. I can't say I really do appreciate that because I don't think we need to. But only reason why I can say that is because I just don't want to prolong this Red Hood storyline. So I'm kind of glad they're moving forward with it and not keeping it super long with it. So Crane's good too. Okay, so let's talk about Hank's demise. I want to know in the chat in the replay, y'all, did you see it coming? Did you think they were going to kill Hank? And what did you think of that episode? I honestly think episode 3 was one of their strongest episodes of this series thus far. One, everyone was working as a team. Everyone was connected. There was one central thing, save Hank. Yes, they failed, but that was the one central thing, and they all were working on it. And I could say, see what happens when you have all the characters involved together? This is what happens. People get to talk to each other and engage, and we have a team. That works. And for nothing else, that was why I love that episode. I understand when Hank died, that was surprising for me. I didn't think they'd go through with it. With that said, and the fact that Dawn was the one that pulled the trigger, wow. That was twisty. That was dark. That was real dark, y'all. And a few things about that. One, do we think that Red Hood can come back from that, right? Is he really being brainwashed? Because Crane is saying he came to him already broken. So is the Jason Todd that we have the real Red Hood, right? Like the Red Hood that is the Red Hood we're working with? Because we have heard that there might be a spinoff. But would we want a spinoff of a character like the way they're making him right now? I don't know. So, I mean, they got the rest of the season to kind of try to do some type of redemption or something, or maybe find out if he's really being brainwashed. But as it stands right now, I wouldn't watch a spinoff show of this guy because I'd be like, he straight up is a cold-blooded killer. It's not like he's an anti-hero. He's a cold-blooded killer. So I don't know how you could do a spinoff of that show or make him redeemable right now, unless you make it so he's somehow really being controlled, or someone else is behind the scenes. Maybe someone else is behind the scene, not just Crane, right? The other thing of Hank's demise is I have a love-hate relationship with the birds, right? Hawk and Dove. I liked them in the first season, actually. I thought the episode that was focused in on them was actually really powerful and well-written. I actually really did like it. I didn't particularly care for the Dawn and Dick situation because I felt like for whatever reason, season 2 writers kind of were trying to push that on us when everyone from season 1 who was watching it was waiting for Dick and Corey to get together, right? So it was kind of weird that we were getting the Dawn and Dick kind of situation, and whoever was in charge of season 2 seemed to be really pushing that for a reason that none of us asked for. So I didn't particularly care for that, but I do think Hawk and Dove can work in the Titans. I think they work in their own. I didn't even think they work as a spinoff. Had they gotten a spinoff, I would have probably checked it out. But I like Hank. Hank is out of the two of them, Hank's my favorite. And I would actually argue out of the whole show, Hank's like my top 5 fave character because I think he's funny. I think he tells it like he's thinking it. And I think he's charming. I think he's a character that you can sit with for a bit, right? And he's at sometimes a little bit more fun than Grayson, right? So out of the two, I actually thought they were going to kill Dawn, but they end up killing Hank. And then Dawn goes off to Paris after asking Dick to come with her, which was so out of the blue. Okay, whatever. I got why it happened, but I also felt like in the very next episode, the only one that was really feeling the remnants of that was Dawn, of course, and then Connor. And everyone else is kind of like, yeah, this stuff is going on. No one's really, and I'm just like, that's the issue with the pacing of this universe, right? Things happen. Jason dies. Next minute, Jason's alive. Hank dies. Everyone's in the house making sandwiches, and Connor's the only one seemingly really broken up about it. Mind you, it looked like it happened like maybe a day ago as well. So there's that. But it was powerful, the episode, but I don't know I don't know if we needed it necessarily, but I will say it showed just how much of emotional weight can be attached to something. And it actually kind of showed how little emotional weight it was to Jason Todd's death. So there's that. Solomon is saying the show using Scarecrow bothers me. The show should have went with Hugo Strange instead. I can see that as well. I can definitely see that. Ray is saying Jason can't be redeemed after killing so many people, telling their enemies their secrets and killing team members. OGs at that. Exactly. And I think the only way he's going to be able to get redeemed is if we find out he really is being controlled. If he's not being controlled, I don't see how we're coming back from that. Deb is saying, I did not see Hank's death coming, but I am not really bothered by it. No way can Jason come back from that. Solomon saying, I'm mad that Hank bought Jason's act. All they did was bicker last season, and Hank can hold a grudge. He can. And I think that's why Jason Todd played on that, because he figured out of all of them, who's the one that won't tell anybody that they're coming to see me and might try to bullheadedly take it on their own. Hank played right into his hands. So, yeah. Well, yeah, they were making sandwiches, Red Eyes. I mean, Gar comes in, he's making the sandwich, Connor's cleaning, everyone's just chilling. I'm like, yo, did Hank just get blown up? Did they remodel the bedroom? What's going on? Solomon saying the show did a disservice to Hawk and Dove when they went off and became small town heroes. Ray is saying, I just don't think Hawk and Dove could evade the police force. They make most sense in small town, but even the Homeland Security would have not nabbed them. It's just not believable. Yeah, I can see that. So, we have this thing with them. So I don't think they needed to kill Hank, but I understood it because it seemed like they were trying to get rid of the birds, right? So they kill Hank, Dove leaves. That gets rid of them, right? Because this show doesn't know how to write for an ensemble cast. So instead of having everyone there and having a balancing act of them all working together and mixing it up, they just put some of the characters off screen at random times, which is why we got Donna killed randomly in season 2 and why Rachel is off in the Amazon with the Amazons doing that when she should be here, but she's off of the Amazons. Okay. Because they don't know how to do a show so far. It's still seeming where everyone's around and they can write for more than one character at a time. Okay. So, and that brings me to the thing of, I really can't wait till Rachel gets back. She's also one of my faves, and I want the core 4 returned. And I think Rachel would be able to talk some sense into some of the people too. She was kind of that person. And without them, we have Corey talking to a therapist who just wants to jump her bones all the time, but that's the only person she seems to be able to talk to. How? I don't know. He was a hookup in Vegas, but for whatever reason, she just really feels like she can confide in him. I don't know why the writers are doing this, but okay. So let's jump into episode 4. I kind of talked about like where we're at with stuff. So we'll talk about specifics with episode 4. I actually did like episode 4. I did. Yeah, Persephone, you should watch. Yeah, binge watch it so you can catch up and you can know what's going on and you can join us for sure. That'd be awesome. And I agree, Bannon. Why is Rachel gone? Bring her back. This is silly. She could have been back by the beginning of the season. She didn't need to be gone. Yeah, the Corey's trust of the therapist did seem very random, Bannon, and we'll talk about that because what is going on? Yeah, yes, right, Red Eyes. I'm throwing some shade at the writers, but I'll be honest, I've been throwing shade at the writers since season 2. So they're probably used to it by now if they even care what I'm talking about. So episode 4, let me know in the chat and the replay, y'all. What did you think of episode 4? I liked episode 4 for the most part, but my main thing, as you probably could guess, my main thing was because it wasn't so Gotham Batman centric, and because we finally got something focused on Starfire. In the previous 2 seasons, as much as I did like season 1, I did feel like Starfire was kind of interposed in it. And in season 1, they kind of promised us that each season would be focusing on each character. That was a lie, right? That's not what ended up happening. We got another season of Dick in season 2. So I was okay with that at first. I thought, okay, this is Rachel's season. We're going to get Starfire maybe next season. So now we were told going in season 3 that this season would be focused on Starfire. I have not seen that yet. I'm hopeful because of episode 4 that that's where we're going. But I feel like it's kind of like, yes, this is focused on Starfire, but we still got to give the Batman stuff because we don't trust for some reason, that people would be okay with not focusing on that for whatever reason. So I gave this episode like a B. You know, I thought it was solid. It was a little bit slower moving. I like that we finally got a thing of the whole thing with Calm and where she was. Now, there is some continuity issues, and this is once again writer shade and the soft reboot. There's some continuity issues here, right? First and foremost, when it comes to Starfire, I love that she's powered up. I love that, and I'm glad they went this route, because I actually was worried at the end of season 2 that they were doing a thing with Starfire where they were making it so her power started to glitch, and I thought they just kind of, you know, did that to her powers because they didn't want her to be able to beat Connor. Because I think pretty much if she wanted to, Starfire could probably give Connor a run for his money. And this is what they were doing in season 2, where they were dulled down certain characters' powers so that the storyline that they wanted to keep pushing could keep going. And I'm a little worried they're doing that a little bit with this show, because this season, because I feel like Red Hood could easily be getting taken care of by Connor or Starfire. And yet Nightwing is the one running off trying to end this, when he could literally call his teammates and be like, hey guys, I want to take out Jason. Can you come with me to the cabin so we can take out Jason? Because you guys could clearly do that because he's just got guns. So yeah. So I'm liking that they did not keep her. I like that they chucked that whole thing of her having her powers not happening. So that was good. The other discontinuity, so that was a good change of continuity, even though that wasn't explained why that happened. The other issue is that with Blackfire, she wasn't really there on Earth, right? She was doing this thing where she was controlling people's bodies. They made that a thing. And then it seemingly seems like they got rid of it. Now, we know she still came to Earth and she was caught by the government, but they don't explain that whole thing that she was able to do at one time, which was kind of morph into people. So that's gone. Once again, you know, there's that. But all that aside, the continuity issues aside, I really, really enjoyed the Starfire, Blackfire, and Gar plot line this thing. And I love that we're getting more of Gar. I want him to get his own plot eventually. But I also think it's fine if he's helping other people and we're getting kind of glimpses of him through him helping other people. But I love that. I loved Blackfire's introduction. I think the actress who's playing Blackfire is giving this kind of stuck up princess kind of a thing, and I love it because it's a good contrast to Corey's kind of like I do what I want party girl thing. And I think that's really great. And that fight scene was amazing. I can't wait till maybe they fight with both of them having their powers. Now, the way it seems is that Blackfire's powers are kind of gone. I don't know what they said, because the guy was saying they did something to her where her powers may return, but the most thing she can do is kind of the telekinesis type thing or whatever that she was doing with Starfire. But that's about it, right? So, yeah, so that's fine. So we're probably going to get her more fighting and anything. And we already kind of know that Starfire is more powerful than Blackfire. They also switched the roles because in the comic books, for those who might not be following the comic books, Blackfire is actually the older sister in the comic books. This time they made her the younger sister, which I don't know why they necessarily did that, but I can kind of see if you make her the younger sister, you make it so that I guess Corey's the one who's like the next to the throne or something like that. Although I think that was kind of the same thing, even though she was the older sister in the comics. Also, clearly, it's a parallel between Grayson and Jason and Corey and Calm. So I like that even though Dickory wasn't on scene, Dick and Corey weren't on scene together, they're going through similar things. Now, if only the writers would let them have a conversation with each other to talk about that. I don't know. So I thought that was good. But I would have preferred, just like with Hank and Dove, when Hank and Dove had their whole episode to themselves, and I think Jason Todd's getting a whole episode to himself this season too. I don't know why we couldn't do a whole episode of Starfire and Blackfire. I don't know why we needed the whole thing. I'm fine with the Crane thing. It was fine. It wasn't horrible. But just like other episodes where people have gotten to have all of it on them and we don't see anybody else. They've done that with Dick plenty of times. I don't see why we couldn't get that with Starfire. I don't know what it is about this thing where certain characters aren't allowed to get real solo episodes, while other characters get multiple solo episodes. I don't think that's a good look. Bannon is saying, I loved Corey and her sister focus. I was looking forward to seeing Blackfire as the big bad, but now I am intrigued by them maybe teaming up and being together. Yeah, so yeah, there's that. I agree. Solomon saying, I love the Starfire and Beast Boy bonding, but Scarecrow and Dick took up more time than they needed. I agree. I'm like, why do we need this? Why can't we just get this? Ray is saying, remember Blackfire got caught after all these events with the Kryptonian said, and Darkseid, so mankind is sitting on ready and prepping, so it was going to be possible. Red Eye saying, Bannon, yes, but with Crane, or the person who resurrected him, pulling the strings of Jason Todd, he will come up with plans to stop them. Remember, Jason spilled the beans. Solomon saying, I prefer Starfire being the younger sister. It makes Blackfire's resentment stronger. Exactly, right? This kind of thing, like, I was the older one. I was the one for the throne, but everyone loves you. But they kind of they reversed it. And I feel like part of that is because of the Dick and Jason story. I feel like they're kind of trying to just make it parallel. So I don't know why they need to do that. For whatever reason. We also, it seems like, and let me know what y'all think in the chat and also in the replay. Com said when Corey was saying you killed our parents, stuff like that, Com was like, well, not everything isn't always what it seems. So that made me think, are Starfire and Blackfire's parents really dead? I think that will be a question that we may be coming back to, because as others have said, we thought Com was going to be the big bad of the season, but maybe she's not. And if she's not the big bad of the season, who is? Because it sure as heck ain't Red Hood, y'all. Red Hood is not the big bad of this season, because I refuse to have a big bad of the season that Connor and Starfire can easily toast. There's no way he is allowed to be the big bad of this season. And if Com isn't actively the big bad pulling strings and stuff, then who is, right? If they make it so that they take her home and stuff like that. So I think it's going to be a very interesting dynamic having Com in the Bruce Manor and Wayne Manor, and seeing her engagement with them, because it seems like she already called Earth a backwater planet. So it's seemingly she kind of has some elitism going on. So that might be very interesting to see. And also her thing with Connor and stuff like that. And then in this episode, we got to talk about it because it was there, because they made sure to have it. The whole thing with Crane and Dick. Once again, Crane I can understand why Crane was trying to call Bruce a psychopath and stuff, because of course Crane's going to call him a psychopath. He's not friends with Bruce. He's Scarecrow, and he wants to see an end when it comes to Batman. He's telling Dick, leave Gotham. Let the water do its side. Now, I ain't going to lie. When Crane said that, I said, well, I actually agree. I think Nightwing should leave. I think some other person can come about, and let them do that. You got another city to protect. You don't need to be in Gotham for this. So I actually agreed with Crane, but I didn't agree with his explanation. Now, I did appreciate that Grayson, Dick, doesn't seem really troubled by the way Bruce brought him up anymore. I think at one point he was. I think that's what they were going with season 1. And I do like that they're not making it so that he's still kind of thinking, you hurt me, Bruce, you're the way I'm like this. And they're giving that to Jason Todd. I still believe we don't need this plot line at all of either one of them feeling any type of way towards Batman. Let them, let's move on. But I'm glad that it's seemingly that Dick is like, no, the wolf should have been afraid of me. It was a good thing that I learned that. I learned how to defend myself and stuff. So I like that they kind of have, in a way, Dick not necessarily defending Batman, but being like, listen, all this stuff you guys are saying is not necessarily true, because I'm not totally horrible. I'm not totally broken because of Bruce. I do have some issues, but it's not as bad as you're making it seem. So I kind of like that they're kind of having Dick kind of be like, it's not that horrible. And I agree, Ray. Can we please introduce the Hive soon? Can we introduce some characters, some villains and things that are specific to Titans? That'd be nice. This is a Titan show. Ray is saying they hit a continuity issue after Crisis because how they not run into Ryan now that they are there. Hello, Batwoman is running around at this time. How is this happening? Well, I don't know if it's, I mean, I know in some universes they're saying, oh, it's the same, but I don't necessarily know if it is the same, if we're being honest, right? Because DC and Warner Brothers likes to kind of just do their own thing and not always make everything connect. So I'm not thinking so much about crossovers and stuff. I'm looking at it for the show that's the show, not necessarily what's going on with other shows and how they connect in that regard, except for Doom Patrol, because it was explained that the Doom Patrol that we see of the Doom Patrol show isn't the same universe as the Doom Patrol that's connected to Gar. That's what we were told, I think, in season 1, that they're not the same universe, supposedly. Yeah. So, I mean, overall, I mean, I'm seeing the Dickory parallels. I think the big question for me is if Blackfire is playing Starfire, right? Or if she really is, like just there because she wants to be there and she was causing some havoc, but she was just really kind of having a tantrum and now, you know, she's on Earth. Like, if that's the case, why not just go back? You know, I mean, it'll be interesting, and I hope we get to stick with Blackfire a bit more and Starfire, more so Starfire, so we see where this goes. I'm interested to see where this goes with them. I want this Red Hood storyline to be done because I'm over it already. You know. Yes, Solomon, the only Titans reference we've gotten so far is Gizmo. Which was awesome, but it was like, okay. And now back to Batman Light. That's what I'm calling the show sometimes. Whenever we go to Gotham and we're doing stuff and Nightwing is literally doing all the things Batman should be doing, I'm like, this is Batman Light. This is Batman Light. Yeah. So, Bannon is also saying, yes, their story should be the main storyline this year. Agreed. Red Hood should be done. Exactly. Yeah. Ray is saying, but we got Gar and his introduction of the Doom Patrol, so that was retcon because Beast Boy, other than Dick, had the most field time of the Titans. It wasn't retcon. More so, what I was saying is that the Doom Patrol that we see on their own show is not the same universe as the Doom Patrol that Gar belongs to. That was explained. That was kind of explained, I think, when Doom Patrol came about, because they were talking about crossovers and they were like, well, it's not the same universe. That Doom Patrol that would have helped Titans, which was originally what was supposed to happen in the end of season 1 of Titans, Doom Patrol was supposed to help Titans beat the big bad of that season, Trigon, right? But they did away with that. They decided not to do that. So, yeah. I don't know why we're rushing with the Red Hood storyline, y'all, so far. I can't think of any other reason except because I've been hearing murmurs that they're trying to do a Red Hood spinoff. But if they're making him a cold-blooded killer and he killed Hank and stuff, I don't really see how anyone's going to be able to forgive him and move on and be like, yeah, go fight crime. Like, okay, like, no, you know, because we have Red Hood and the Outlaws, I think it's called. Where Starfire is actually supposed to be on the Outlaws at one time, I think. I don't think they're going to go with Starfire and be on the Outlaws, but people have been putting it out there that maybe Blackfire joins the Outlaws, like maybe Red Hood and Blackfire sticks with him to go join the Outlaws, kind of taking Starfire's place in that spinoff. If they did that, I think that could be interesting. But so far, I am optimistic, y'all. Let me know in the chat and the replay. Are you optimistic about this season? Or do you think we're going to get more of what season 2 was, which I thought was a horrible season? Do you think, are you excited about where this can go? Deb is saying, I missed the Corey and Dick connection from season 1. Wish they would include more of that. You know, what I'm hearing, the showrunner and executive producer said we will be getting some more Dick and Corey and that their relationship is a priority in this show. Season 2, it wasn't so much, but I think enough of us made a ruckus and they realized that it wasn't working, because how can you have the Titans without Starfire and Nightwing together? Because that was such a huge part of the super popular Titans run in a lot of iterations. So it seems like they're getting that, but it may be a little while longer. But I just wish they would talk to each other, right? And before, we go further with this, I think Starfire and this therapist is weird. I think it's a creepy situation. 1 minute, she's calling him for help. The next minute, he's talking about, yeah, you can come and we can talk, or we can come and you can, do some other stuff. And I'm just like, why is she turning to this guy for help? Why is this the guy she's turning to for help? Isn't her and Dick supposed to be like the mother and father of the Titans in this regard? Why is she not talking to him? Why are they not talking to each other? Right? Like, what's going on here? Why is this a thing, y'all? I am perplexed. I just think it's a little convoluted. I think it's a little convoluted and a little contrived. I think the therapist might be not on the level. I think that might be a thing too. I don't know how, but I don't think he's totally good, because it seemed a little convenient that he's there for Starfire when he doesn't need to be. When she could be looking to and talking to other people. Hopefully when Rachel returns and when if Donna's like completely alive or however they do it, hopefully Starfire can talk to the two of them. And I would prefer that. That would make more sense to me than her randomly talking to an almost hookup from Vegas, who happened to be a doctor, who gave her his card or whatever. Red Eyes is saying Corey can't talk to Dick because he's too busy being yelled at by Barbara every scene. Exactly. I don't know what we're doing. Like, why is this show so fragmented? Why is they got? And this is my worry with Dick. They've already got him going off and not telling anybody anything, right? He decided to go after Red Hood on his own. Everybody lost Hank. Nightwing, what are you doing? Everybody lost Hank. Why wouldn't you give Dawn the option, or Connor the option, or Starfire the option? She was friends with Hank, Gar, why not give them the chance to also take out Red Hood? Why go do this yourself again? It's like they never want him to learn. And we end up with the same problems that we've been dealing with for the past 2 seasons. It's old, y'all. I'm over it. And I think most of the viewing audience is over it as well. Solomon saying the rest of it is like fetch. He's just not going to happen, right? Stop trying to make fetch happen from Mean Girls. I got that reference, Solomon. I don't think they're really trying to make that happen as a relationship. I think something's supposed to happen. I don't know. Maybe Calm is going to kill him or something like that. Because in the comic books, I think Franklin was Corey's first like human boyfriend, and they killed him off. And that really hurt Corey and stuff like that. That was right before her and Dick kind of made it serious. He could be doing that. He could be a Franklin stand-in. But then again, I thought Fetty, who came from Tamara, was sort of that stand-in for her. Someone that's, Calm killed and she would wanted to avenge him or something. So I don't know. I don't see the point of him. Bannon saying it's like they are trying to get rid of Dickory, and I hate that. And Starfire sharing way too much with the therapist, and that's going to bite her in the butt. Red Eye saying that's an old bat trait, though, of going off alone. It doesn't bother me because it makes sense somewhat, but you would think after some time of the show making it such a big deal of him leaning on the family aspect of Titans that he wouldn't keep doing that. Solomon is saying, I'm cautiously optimistic this season, but they still haven't explained Dick's jailbreak from last season. Y'all, there's so many things. These Titans break so many laws, and no one says anything. I mean, Dick broke the law this episode. I don't know how he's going to be able to walk around and not get arrested, but okay. I'm sure Barbara will pull a string and he'll be able to get off on it. But yeah. Bannon is also saying, I'm optimistic every season. I will always have high hopes for this show, even though they have let me down at times. Team storylines rather than total individual storylines. I agree with you. I definitely agree. I'm optimistic. I was more optimistic than I was more optimistic in season 1 than I am in season 2, though. I will say that. Season 3 started off pretty solid, though. And I am hopeful that they did. The writer said they listened to us from season 2. And a lot of the complaints was that it was too Batman heavy and too Gotham heavy. So maybe they're going to Gotham in the beginning to get it out the way so we can now move on to more Titan stuff, but we'll see. But I'm over it. I want more Starfire. I even want more Connor and Kryptos type stuff. Give me that. I'll take that over this Batman stuff. And like I said, as a Batman fan, Red Eye saying, I love Titans, y'all tripping. Okay. I don't think we're tripping, Red Eyes. I think many of us have, which is why they've changed things and they seem to be listening a bit, because I think a lot of people have complained. But yeah, overall, y'all, I'm digging the season so far. I could leave some stuff, but I'm hopeful. And I'm really excited to see where the Starfire Blackfire storyline goes. But if you haven't already, y'all, please do give this video a like, or a super chat donate if you want to, but more so a like for the algorithms, so other people can check it out and check the replay, and we can talk about it. But yeah, let's see where this goes. Maybe I'll be ranting and raving by the end of this one too, like I was in season 2, or maybe I will be pleasantly okay, like in season 1. We'll see. But thank you all for joining me as we talk season 3 of Titans, episode 1 through 4. The next ones will be just solo episodes, unless I fall behind or something like that. But God willing, it'll be solo episodes so we can talk more specific with it for episode 5, which is upcoming. But thank you all for joining. And have a great rest of your day, and go read some comics, because they're always fun to read. And until then, talk to you soon.